Google VEO3 prompt tutorial for beginners. Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's video, I'll be showing you guys how you can create amazing prompts for VEO3 creations. So let's get started. Now, starting off, how do you use VEO3 and how can you get access to it? You can use VEO3 either in Gemini or in Flow, and you do need to have a Google AI subscription to use it in Flow. You can get your first month for the AI Pro subscription completely for free, and after that, it's $19.99, and they also have a AI Ultra subscription, which is $250. Now you get 12,500 on the AI Ultra subscription plan and 1,000 credits every month on the AI Pro plan. I do think that these AI plans are definitely one of the most worthwhile AI plans, especially if you're looking to create a bunch of content. Now let's get started with Flow and Gemini. Starting off, I'm going to show you guys what Flow looks like, and then we're going to move on to Gemini, and then we're just going to create some videos in Gemini. So click on Try and Flow, and once you do that, this will lead you to the Google Labs Flow page, and then just click on Create with Flow. Once you click on Create with Flow, this will open up your Flow page and you can proceed with signing up with Google or just put in your email address. From there, you will see I have a bunch of videos already created. If you don't have any videos created, then it's going to be blank for you. Now, I'm going to show you guys some differences between VEO3 and VEO2 before we get started with actually, creating our content, because before we can build good prompts, before we can understand good prompts, we need to see how exactly does it function. So this is an example video. I've created this both in VEO2 and VEO3, and this is the VEO3 result, and this is the VEO2 result. Now you guys can see both of these videos are pretty decent, but VEO3 definitely does create a more crisp video. So when you're creating with VEO3, what are the elements you should be keeping in mind? Well, I'll show you guys one example again. This is a VEO3 creation that I created in Gemini. Now, if you want to use Gemini and VEO3, simply just click on Try in Gemini and this will open up Gemini for you. In Gemini, you can create around 3 videos every month completely for free, and then after that, it is going to be paid. So we're going to improve upon this particular prompt. I have this prompt as well where I just entered a model wearing a blue dress, and this is what it created for me. But I want to improve and build a better prompt. The way to do this is to first define your subject, define the environment of the subject, define the interactions it has, and then when you're creating with VEO3, you also are going to have some type of audio. So you want to define your audio as well. So how do you want your audio to sound like? What should the person be saying? All of that needs to be defined. So although this is a pretty decent prompt, the prompt that I used here is a kitchen where kids are running, toys all over, morning mess, a mom in her late 20s with a messy bun wearing PJs, beautiful. The mom is holding a phone. She says, sometimes you need to pause. She clicks on her phone and the background changes to a calm forest, and then she shows her phone screen where it says relax tech. Now, what can be improved? First off, I've defined the main element as the mom, but I haven't defined the tone of the video, which means I haven't defined the coloring. I haven't defined the cinematic style. I have also not defined the landscape or portrait style that I want. So if I want it to be landscape, a wide shot, a horizontal shot, whether I want the camera to not move, whether I want the camera to move, so on and so forth. So the way to improve this, I'm going to be using ChatGPT for this, and this is a detailed version. So countertops are cluttered, half-eaten, and this is a bit too detailed. Now, all of these elements, I'll show you guys. This is all the environment. Now, I don't recommend making the environment this long unless this is a very, very, very important shot, because if you make the environment of the video this detailed, it's just going to take too much effort in creating the environment. So you want to define the subject first. She's tired but a warm expression, wearing a soft wrinkled pastel pajama with coffee stains. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into Gemini and I'm going to paste in this. In the center of the scene stands a mom in her late 20s, beautiful in an effortless way. She has a tired but warm expression, a messy bun, wearing soft, slightly wrinkled pastel pajamas. I'm going to remove the coffee stains simply because I don't want them, and gently sighs. Now, after that, I want to define the environment. So a cozy but chaotic kitchen, and I'm going to just copy this entirely, but I'm going to remove a bunch of the elements from this. So within the environment, I want a chaotic kitchen with a soft morning light. The countertops are cluttered. are scattered across the floor. I'm just going to add brightly colored plastic toys are scattered across the floor. 2 kids are running around laughing and shouting, and I'm not going to define the appearance of the kids. Now, the next thing is to define the tone of the video. So warm hues, 16:9 cinematic shot. Now, after that, you guys can see she looks at the camera and says with a light smile, "Sometimes you need a pause," and she taps her phone screen like this. And now I'm going to define the transition in Gemini. The noisy kitchen around her begins to dissolve into a serene, magical forest. And within that, we have relax tech. Press pause on the chaos. Now going back into Gemini. Now, there is still something that is missing, and that is actually the shot of the camera. So the camera pans, and I want the camera to pan out when the transition happens. The camera pans out when the transition is happening, and the noisy kitchen begins to dissolve into a serene, magical forest. Now I have defined all of the primary elements: the main character, the surroundings, the mood of the scene, the overall environment that I want, how it is going to be transitioning, as well as some details about the environment. And I've also defined the dialogue because she looks at the camera and says with a slight smile, "Sometimes you just need a pause." Keep in mind that VEO 3 is the only model in Google's AI which is going to generate audio for you. If you're using VEO 2, then it's not going to be able to create audio for you. So if you do want audio, go for VEO 3. Now, once I've done that, I'm just going to click on return, and keep in mind this is only going to be a 8-second clip because VEO 3 is only able to create upwards of 8 seconds of content. And you might say, hey, I want to create more than 8 seconds of content because I have a super long prompt. Well, if your prompt is any longer than this, you definitely will need a longer clip. So the way to do that is to simply go into Flow. I prefer using Flow for this. And whatever you're creating, just enter your prompt as you would on Gemini, as we did on Gemini. And then I'll show you guys an example. So this is a scene where I created a main, fantasy character. Then you simply click on Add to Scene on the top right. Once you click on Add to Scene on the top right, you're going to click on this plus icon and then click on Extend. Then you're just going to be defining what happens next and your shot will be extended. So if you have an extremely long prompt, then you can simply define what happens next and keep on extending the shot so you can start building 8-second bits of your entire scene. Now let's go back into Gemini and take a look at where our video is. So this is what our video looks like. I'm gonna turn up the volume like so. And this is a bit too fantasy. You guys can see that it's not as hyper realistic, so I should have defined that again. I did add warm hues, warm tones in this, but I did not add hyper realism in this because the fantasy forest is a bit much for my personal liking. So I can change that and opt for slightly different styles. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.